Wow, that's incredible. And then, I mean, you were doing such a like active thing, and then you didn't want to, I don't know, sit by when there were treatments available. Do you want to talk about this? Like you said, a year and a half later, you were able to do a treatment, but they didn't want to take you, right?
Right. Yeah, that's so true. So, you know, when you leave the hospital with a spinal cord injury and you're sent home, it's kind of like, that's it. There's no cure for spinal cord injury. You do what you have to do to get by, and that's it. So you're really kind of left off this cliff. Since then, you know, there's support groups and things have changed, you know, over the years, but still there's no cure for spinal cord injury, and today there still isn't. So what's next? You know, how do you keep your body healthy? I think one thing a lot of people forget is that with these conditions, it's not just the paralysis, it's all the secondary conditions that come after that can kill you. It's, you know, the bladder infections, it's the muscle atrophy, it's the osteoporosis, it's the pressure sores, it's all of these things that can really deteriorate your life, not necessarily the paralysis. So you're constantly in this fight to keep your body healthy. But I also came to this revelation of, okay, there's no cure, you know, what's next, right? So there has to be something. So I started to look into research and said, you know, if I can't sit on the sidelines and do nothing, right? I can sit in the side, or I can become an active participant and try to move science forward. So that's when I decided to look at clinical trials. And ironically, I was using an FES bike. And at the time, you know, FES bike is surface stimulation on a cycle. And it helps to keep your body healthy and your body moving. And at the time, people didn't have them in their homes. I had to drive down to Boston to be able to get it. And I was going through an appeal with my insurance company, trying to get access and more treatments so I can still go and use this piece of technology. And in writing my appeal, I found this research group in Cleveland called the Cleveland FES Center, and was trying to find some research and asked them to send me some stuff. And they said, oh, well, by the way, we've got these clinical trials going on as well. Oh, okay. Well, that sparked my interest, right? And they ended up having this implanted neuroprosthesis for lower extremities. So I made a video, you know, the old-fashioned videos.
Yeah, like a VHS.
Yeah, no, it was the little ones. But still, I made a video and I sent it off to them with a letter saying, hey, listen, I'd like to join your clinical trial. And, you know, I had to hire a personal trainer to be able to put on these long KFOs. They're these plastic braces that go up to your hip, down to your foot, so I can get up and at least try to move. So I was active and, you know, trying to make the case of why I meet the inclusion criteria for this clinical trial. And they wrote back and said, well, thank you for applying, but no. And part of their reply, they said, well, we've never implanted a woman, so we're not accepting women into the clinical trial. And of course, that sparked me and said, well, wait a minute. You know, 20% of women.
Did you hear how I got injured? Actually,
exactly. Well, yeah, and you know, I made the case back to him and said, you know, 20% of spinal cord injuries are women, and sooner or later, you've got to implant a woman because we're part of the population. And you know, rightfully so, they did their background research. They had real concerns about implanting into the abdomen in a childbearing woman, what that would do, and what kind of precautions had to be made for that. And they did that background research and got back with me, and eventually they let me into